I can't even think of hyperbole to describe how insane it is. Mad King stuff, like actual like Game of Thrones, fantasy novel, Henry VIII beheading his wives. People will be talking about this 1,000 years from now. The interesting thing is not that Trump is legitimately a mad king. The interesting thing is that the Republicans and Democrats both are either unwilling to or unable to stop him. No one seems to be able to do anything about it, and they can barely even name the problem. After the shooting, Trump files a claim from the Department of Justice in order to try to force through the ballroom. This sounds like a joke, but the DOJ files a motion to try to block the courts from blocking the construction of the ballroom, and I think Trump might have penned it himself. So this is an official motion from the Department of Justice, an institution that Trump theoretically has no direct control over, but obviously he does. The National Trust for Historic Preservation is a beautiful name, but even their name is fake, because when they add the words "in the United States" to the National Trust for Historic Preservation, it makes it sound like a government agency, which it is not. This is from the DOJ. Again, remember, this is from the DOJ. It's not a tweet. It's not Truth Social. It's a DOJ motion. In fact, the United States refused to continue funding it in 2005 because they strongly disagreed with their mission and objectives. They are very bad for our country. They stop many projects that are worthy and hurt many others. In this case, they are trying to stop one that is vital to our national security and the safety of all presidents of the United States, both current and future, their family, staff, and cabinet members. They were asked by the United States military not to bring this suit because of the top secret nature of the important facility being built. They were shown detailed plans and specifications of this knitted, unified, and cohesive structure by top officers and leaders in both the military and Secret Service. But this did not deter them because they suffer from Trump derangement syndrome, commonly referred to as TDS, as noted by Democratic Senator John Fetterman of Pennsylvania, and are represented by the lawyer for Barack Hussein Obama, Gregory Craig. Again, a motion from the Department of Justice. Trump wrote this. This is Trump. I guarantee you, this whole thing is because the only priority that Trump has at this point in his presidency is to build the fucking ballroom. Because he is and always has been a real estate freak who wants to build a gigantic marble. He wants to build a building more garish and egregious and gaudy than any building he's ever been allowed to build before. And he wants to stamp Trump on the front of it and then pass a bill making it illegal to remove that lettering. And that's the only thing he cares about. And everything that has happened in the past couple of days has been the party capitulating to him in a desperate last-ditch effort to keep him from firing the entire cabinet in a fit of rage and hitting the nuclear football with both fists and sending all of us to oblivion. That's it. That's the only reason this is happening. I think we should be happy for him. Glad he's focusing on the ballroom instead of doing authoritarianism. Unironically, yeah, no, genuinely. I have a hard time seeing this as anything other than a genuine freak out internally. The lower section of the building does not work without the upper section, and likewise the upper section of the building does not work without the lower. It is all one highly integrated unit! Exclamation point. As an example, one venting system, one electrical system, one plumbing system, one security system, one air conditioning and heating system, one elevator connection, and very importantly, one structural steel and enforced concrete system, and more. Even the bulletproof windows and glass and the heavy steel drone-proof roof protect what is below. With such a facility, it would have been impossible for an attack like that which took place last Saturday evening in D.C., when an attempted assassin armed with a shotgun, pistol, and knives charged through a security checkpoint at the Washington Hilton in an attempt to assassinate the president, Donald J. Trump, First Lady Melania Trump, and members of the president's cabinet and senior staff, excluding Kash Patel, during the White House Correspondents' Dinner, the first one he's ever attended as president. The Secret Service fortunately neutralized the assassin before he could reach the ballroom. However, Saturday's narrow miss, which marks the third assassination attempt on President Trump since 2024, confirms what should have already been obvious. Presidents need a secure space for large events that currently does not exist in Washington, D.C., and this court's injunction stalling this project cannot defensibly continue for the sake of the safety of President Trump, future presidents, and their families, cabinets, and staff. Defendants thus require that this court issue an indicative ruling under Rule 62.1 that it will dissolve its injunction. 3 assassination attempts, including the attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania, where an assassin's bullet hit the president's ear, is enough. There is absolutely no argument that a woman walking her dog in the vicinity of the White House has standing to stop such a desperately needed structure for the people of the United States of America, as it will provide presidents, current and future, a secure space to do their job. Official DOJ motion. Do you think they'll accept this? I have to say, I find the legal arguments made here kind of spotty. Trump's approval rating dropped further after the shooting. Personally, I like my presidents who don't get shot at. Kind of makes him look like a loser, not gonna lie. Part 2. I'm sorry, did he post the entire DOJ motion on fucking Truth Social? Yes. Yes, he did. And he has added John Fetterman tweets to the DOJ record in the footnotes. Maybe my assumption that the Republican Party would eventually try to move away from Trump was unfounded. Maybe, like, no one there has any plans at all. Like, they're basically just hoping Trump somehow becomes immortal and they're able to stop democracy, even though they have no plans on how they're going to do that. They will bury themselves with the sarcophagus. It does kind of feel like everyone in the Republican Party is setting themselves up to be buried in the tomb with him, you know? I guess, I don't know, I kind of assume like Susan Wiles or something might have like some kind of plan for moving the party away from him at some point, but I guess everyone is just fucking insane. Like, you think there'd be more pushback? If I was a Republican and I was trying to make sure that I didn't die in infamy, or at least didn't die in jail, I right now would be trying to find some core group of Republicans in the party who objected to what Trump was doing, because this is insane. They orchestrated a fake shooting, or at least like a planned one, in an effort to provide pretext to the #1 priority of the president, which is building a presidential ballroom, which he clearly cares about more than literally anything else happening in the country right now. And he is personally writing DOJ motions to judges blocking the project. This is beyond insane. Like, I can't even think of hyperbole to describe how insane it is. I don't even understand. Like, Mad King stuff, like actual like Game of Thrones fantasy novel, Henry VIII beheading his wives. Like, people will be talking about this 1,000 years from now. It has Caligula naming his horse Senator vibes. I don't know. It feels like it's in that league. Trump approval rating on cost of living reaches all-time low of 22%. 22%. 22%. Jesus Christ. Yeah, it's the arch and the ballroom. I have a feeling that in the coming weeks, when Trump is asked questions about the Iran war or gas prices or America in general, he's going to lash out the way he did when reporters kept asking him about Epstein. The only stuff he's going to want to talk about is this. He's literally king posting. That's cool. Well, anyway, it's literally written by Trump. Trump typed this up. This is how Trump types his Truth Socials. So kind of a tongue twister there. How Trump types his Truth Socials. With the misuse of quotes, the M dashes, the exclamation points, the selective capitalization, all of it. It's all exactly how he tweets or truths. Look at this. Congress never, in addition, in the long and storied history of the White House dating back to 1791, Congress has never dictated or tampered with the zoning, permitting, or architectural aspects of any project, especially one being given free of charge as a gift to the country. Though, of course, taxpayer dollars are being added now. Trump is also adding his face and signature to U.S. passports. I'm telling you, man, it's the only shit he cares about now. Limited edition passport. At least it's not general edition or whatever. How is this real? What the fuck? It really is like Mad King. And again, and I know I keep hammering on this and I apologize for being banal and boring, but like, the interesting thing is not that Trump is legitimately a Mad King. The interesting thing is that the Republicans and Democrats both are either unwilling to or unable to stop him. That for all of our built-up institutions and all of our democratic norms and traditions, no one seems to be able to do anything about it, and they can barely even name the problem. Like Democrats, it's unwillingness, it's inability, it's a lack of creative thinking. Like on every level, there's just a fundamental structural inability to deal with, well, what if a guy gets in charge and he's evil and crazy, you know? More evidence to the point of Trump being a Mad King. Oh. Son and I went to a national park in January and asked to buy the $80 annual pass. Rangers said they were ordered to throw out all the hard passes because they didn't have Trump's photo on them yet. I actually saw this. I saw this 2 days ago when I went hiking, right after stream. The hike that I had to interrupt because I had to come back home quickly because of the attempt on Trump. I saw this. This was printed at the base of the pass that I or the trail that I took. Had to buy online and Rangers printed a temp pass. This came in the mail a month later. Bro's such an egomaniac. But there's like no plan to deal with it. Like it's all just happening. This isn't all his ideas, guys. His asshole's trying to deflate him. I think a lot of this is probably directly from Trump. Yeah. He is like this. And he always has been. He was trying to do a lot of this in his first term, too. He was just stopped by the people around him, you know? Oh my God. If any other president had the ability, foresight, or talents necessary to build this ballroom, which will be one of the greatest, safest, and most secure structures of its kind anywhere in the world, there would have never been a lawsuit. But because it is Donald J. Trump, a highly successful real estate developer who has abilities that others don't, especially those who assume the office of president, this frivolous and meritless lawsuit was filed. Again, it's called Trump derangement syndrome. On top of everything else, this project is a gift to our country from President Trump and other donors. It is free of charge to the American taxpayer. Who could ever object to that? The court should have never enjoined this project, but now, after the Saturday night attempted assassination, which could have never taken place in the new facility, reasonable minds can no longer differ. The injunction must be dissolved. This court should immediately issue an indicative ruling that it will dissolve the injunction and put an end to this frivolous lawsuit, which greatly endangers the lives of all presidents, current and future. If someone told you it would be this stupid back in 2016, would you believe them? I don't think anyone would. I genuinely think that nobody back in 2016 could have guessed things would get this bad. I really don't think. Even the most pessimistic, like TDS liberals, you know? I genuinely think nobody could have called this. Yeah, it's impossibly bad. It's all happening so quickly, man. A content creator I watch was adamantly saying this isn't a false flag, and saying it is makes us all look like conspiracy theorists. Can I be honest with you? It literally doesn't matter. The viability of conspiracism is determined in part by the availability of information and also by the potential consequences of, the potential consequences of you being right versus you being wrong, how much of a difference it makes. In this case, it makes literally no difference because there's no analytical conclusion you would derive from it being real or fake that would meaningfully differ. It doesn't matter. The world at this point does not care. There's no real change in the direction you're moving in. And the administration lies so readily about everything. Like every time you find out more information about the admin and what it plans, it turns out they lied. So it doesn't matter. It's not like the 9/11 conspiracism where there is like not in addition to like genuine irrationalism dictating it, a significant change in how you might perceive the world depending on like whether or not your particular conspiracy theory about 9/11 is true. In this case, there are no consequences. It's really just a matter of how cynical you feel, you know? But in the absence of all available information, because we're not omniscient, we're not gods, we don't know everything, I don't really care what level of skepticism you engage in. However, one claim can be empirically falsified here, which is the claim you said this content creator is making, that it makes us all look like conspiracy theorists. That's delusional. There is not a single human being on Earth who cares whether or not liberals or leftists think that this was a false flag. Conservatives don't care. They'll just say anything. Their view of the world is detached from reality. They will say or believe anything at any point. It literally doesn't matter. Liberals don't care. Leftists don't care. There is no core nugget of credulity or legitimacy or skepticism that we're fighting over here, okay? The world is falling apart. These institutions can't be trusted. Believe what you want. I literally don't care. It's not a consequential decision. Neoliberals take issue with it, but that's honestly a good thing. Neoliberals aren't real people. Neoliberalism describes the behavior of politicians, pundits, and some economists. No real human being calls themselves a neoliberal. Voters don't call themselves neoliberals. No one polls for it. No one asks for it. No one goes out to the polls and self-identifies as one. You're describing a punditry class, nothing more. Real human beings, the actual regular day-to-day Americans, of them, no one calls themselves a neoliberal. By the way, I'm pretty sure that, the average Democrat doesn't even think the attempt at Butler was real, you know? Even though I do. So, whatever. Did you see the shooter in the White House had retweeted Kraut? The fact that the would-be assassin was a shitlib pro-Israel guy is unbelievably funny. He retweeted Brianna Wu. That's insane. The Will Stancil shooter, not contented merely with a total victory in Minneapolis, he's now taking the fight to the White House, or the White House Correspondents' Dinner at least. Jesus Christ, man. Yes, he retweeted Brianna Wu comparing pro-Palestine protesters to the Ku Klux Klan. Yes, that is true. Anti-Hassan, it gets funnier every time. It gets funnier every time. It's like lefties are actually the only group incapable of producing domestic terrorists, you know? The right produces them. The center produces them. Bro is a third-way liberal. They have legitimately produced more political violence than the left has. It's crazy. Because they don't touch grass? Yeah, I suppose not. We're never firebombing a Walmart. A guy who goes online and says, oh, your strategy is to win an election, that pales in comparison to my strategy, firebombing a Walmart, and then himself goes on to firebomb a Walmart. It's like he was trying to prove the point that this doesn't work, but from the other perspective. Like, oh, I'll show you how much better voting would be. Liberals doing the firebombing just to spite us. They're like, yeah, why can't you do this shit? You fucking pussies. It's so easy. The Palestine protesters are functionally speaking Republicans. He's so online, too. Brianna Wu, no opinion. Kraut, it's not just like being a normie centrist liberal. It's like a insane, hyper-Zionist, crazy fuck. Like, it's so funny. How's Will Stancil doing on Blue Sky? Is he, like, defending himself against legions of people blaming him for not better training his agent? Who the fuck is Kraut? He's like a parrot? Like, his icon's a parrot? I remember him being annoying, but that's all I remember. I think, is he even German? I don't remember much about him. I think it's been a while. Didn't he like change his positions on stuff? Like he used to be, had one set of political positions, but then he had a different one? He's Austrian? Okay, he's Austrian, he's German, I don't care. Huge Islamophobe? Okay, gotcha. Very anti-immigrant, anti-communist liberal. Okay, gotcha. So right-winger. Anyway, yeah, pretty funny. Criticized Arab voters in Dearborn, Michigan who didn't vote for Kamala Harris over the genocide in Gaza. Man was like, fuck, now I have to go and do this. You pieces of shit wouldn't vote for Kamala Harris. Now I'm the one who has to pick up the slack. God almighty. You can be a liberal without being right-wing, though? What's that Disco Elysium quote? Liberals aren't fascists, but the kind of people who would self-describe as a liberal have to be, like, drooling at the mouth, slavering fascists? Essentially, it's that principle, where, like, the average liberal is just a liberal, but a person who self-describes as a liberal is usually sort of committed to a global project of Western chauvinism. Between this and that,
one officer fired their weapon 5 times. Was that the only officer who discharged a firearm?
I want to be very careful in answering that question because this is, when you do ballistics evidentiary collection and research, it is very complicated. So when you fire a bullet, the bullet ends up somewhere. Sometimes you find it, sometimes you don't. And so from that, with that qualifier, we believe right now that there was 5 shots fired from the same firearm.
One officer fired their weapon.
My understanding is that there's some contention as to the exact details of how the would-be shooting was conducted. Saying sometimes you find the bullet, sometimes it just disappears when a person is firing inside a closed space like a hotel is really funny. Like the idea that the level of forensic investigation that you would engage in a case like this would somehow ever allow you to just miss shots. I don't know. We'll see how it goes, man. This shit's fake as hell. You see literally everyone in the aftermath has been ballroom posting. Everyone. Okay, let's do a bit of a roundup here, okay? So basically every Republican politician has come forward and said, that's it, enough is enough. We're funding that ballroom no matter what it takes.
We're going to introduce legislation that would authorize $400 million to be spent to secure to build the presidential ballroom. Underneath, there will be a lot of military stuff. There will be a Secret Service annex, and we've paid for it by offsetting it with custom fees. But the estimate is $332 million.
Remember, the original plan was that the taxpayer wouldn't be paying anything for it. However, at least according to this New York Times reporting, the Trump administration gave a secret no-bid contract to the firm building the White House ballroom after inflating its value 3 times. I wonder which family member of Trump's owns this firm. I don't actually know. There's impropriety is involved. At what level, I'm not entirely sure. A secret no-bid contract. How interesting. Jared Kushner? Yeah, probably. Trump said his friends pay for it all. He was lying. Now taxpayer dollars are getting involved. Lots of them. Yeah, lying if you can believe it.
We're going to do $400 million because I think it's probably going to take more. Private donations can be used, but I think they should be used for buying China and stuff like that. Underneath this ballroom will be infrastructure.
Do you still think the shooting's a false flag? Oh my God, yes? To me, this reads more than anything else. This reads like Trump, like not giving a fuck that the world is ending and the empire's falling. He just wants to build his ballroom. It's like an Emperor Nero type thing, you know, just totally consumed by a desire to leave his mark. He's always been a real estate guy. He clearly cares about the ballroom way the fuck more than he cares about anything else that's going on. So my guess is that he had like some kind of freak out over like his polling numbers or his popularity or the fact that he can't get anything done. And he was like, I want to build this. I want to build this now. These liberal judges are stopping me. So they orchestrated this whole thing in an effort to manufacture some kind of like renewed political momentum. It's not just Lindsey Graham who's saying that he's getting this done. Rand Paul, who's been, you know, one of the more critical members of the Republican political constituency, said, I'm dropping a bill tomorrow. Let's build the ballroom. Like, we're in the middle of a war right now. The shooter in the White House Correspondents' Dinner is a liberal from California. Is anyone even talking about it? No. The only thing they want to talk about is the ballroom. Take as evidence the fact that in any other situation, the Republican Party would be freaking out over this. But in this case, it was a fake-ass shooting. 5 seconds later, everyone's ballroom posting. Literally, like, every MAGA account on Twitter is posting about this means we need the ballroom. The manifesto of the shooter has a section where he says, security was so light, thank goodness there wasn't a ballroom. And then even politicians that have been critical of the ballroom are coming around saying, you're right, it's time to build the ballroom. And Trump clearly only cares about the ballroom. I guarantee you there's going to be a bunch of weird fuckery in the trial. I said this before too, but like the current attorney general saying evidence recovery is not an exact science when referring to shots fired inside a closed space. Sure. Yeah, sure. No one believes this is real. No one believes this is real. Okay. I don't believe it's real. And I like, it's obvious. Like it's what's that? The greatest insult is they don't even put effort into lying.
That is national security centric. The ballroom itself will avoid the dilemma of having to leave the White House grounds with future presidents and this president's to go downtown in a place that's less secure. President Trump said to me yesterday, we need the ballroom not just for me, but for future presidents. He literally could have...
So did they pay the shooter or what? Nah, they probably did the classic like post 9/11 FBI thing where they found one of the many, many crazy people around the country who wanted to, Kirk the president and made friends with him on Discord or whatever and was like, you could totally do it. And probably did this to like 20 people, honestly, and then just waited for one of them to take the hook. They did this to a bunch of people after 9/11, a bunch of like Muslim kids, like, wouldn't it be cool if you built a bomb, fucking inshallah or whatever type shit? And then if the Muslim kid was ever like, I don't know, maybe that'd be cool. I guess I don't like America that much, they would arrest him. They love doing that shit.
Left his bedroom, walked out the back of the White House, and been at the ballroom. That's what needs to happen when you have 1,000 or 2,000 people gathered in today's environment. And the sooner we get the ballroom built, the more hardened it is, the better for the country. So I hope and pray that most people in the Senate after Saturday night will support this bill.
I think these attacks on the president are probably quite common or just stopped by the FBI or Secret Service well in advance. Yeah, they are, usually. I think they just let this one get closer and decided to play off the narrative. This isn't even hitting with the MAGAs that I know. Yeah, because their political movement is totally fake. It's artificial. The fact that Fox News and the rest of them are only focusing on the ballroom means there's not really much energy in the MAGA movement for them to pretend that they're like taken aback by this, It's not like the Butler attempt, right? After the Butler attempt, there was weeks and weeks and weeks of people genuinely engaging with the gravitas of the subject of Trump potentially getting assassinated. But right now, like every Republican politician and pundit switched immediately into this is why we need the big, beautiful ballroom. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. So I'm just looking at all of the Fox News videos that are just about funding the ballroom.
Over the weekend, Democrat Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman said on X, it's time to drop all the Trump derangement syndrome, phony outrage over the ballroom project, and get this thing built as soon as possible. And Senator Fetterman joins us right now with more. Senator, great to have you. I appreciate you saying that.
Jesus Christ, is he filming from Gaza? He actually, I think I've seen a wider photo of him. He keeps one corner of his gigantic, expensive living room looking barren so that he can look more proletariat filming from it.
I don't know why it's not going to cost the taxpayers a penny.
It is, again, taxpayer dollars are now involved.
Going to be one of the most secure buildings by far in the world. Why would there be any reluctance or resistance to building it when every future president will benefit from it?
I really don't understand. The only thing that I could explain that it's the TDS, for me. I mean, I was right there. I was one or two tables away from the front table with the president and the vice president thing, and I've witnessed this.
It's so cool how Schumer never denounces him. You can't so much as breathe wrong in Congress as a Republican without Trump launching an attack on you, your family, your mistress, your children, everyone. But Fetterman every day just lumbers over to Fox News to agree with Trump on everything, and Schumer doesn't say shit.
Even before that even happened, I was struck by, my gosh, we have the entire, the line of succession right there in a very small kind of, area there. Johnson was there, Rubio was there, of course. The president and Vance was there too, and Hegseth.
They did not have every single fucking member of the line of succession, okay? Quit lying.
And all those people there, I mean, people have forgotten perhaps what happened in Oklahoma City back in 1995. Somebody could have bombed the building for that, and now I was the only Democrat that refused to vote to shut the DHS down, and it is. And now we're here in conflict of Iran. Iran's already have the desire
fucking
to
retard, dude. Can barely talk, can barely think, barely alive.
Assassinate the president too. So I think after tonight there, I'm thinking we really got lucky, because it could have been far more even catastrophic, and I'm so grateful no one was hurt. But that's why I'm saying, we need to have a secure facility for events just like this. We can't ever allow to be exposed in that way to an attack. That hotel was never designed to do that in a safe way. When I witnessed that night.
Senator, you've heard the constant refrain, Hitler, fascist.
We can cut it there. We can cut it there. That's fine. I've also heard that constant refrain.